So by divine intervention, Susan Bradley and I are finally doing a podcast together. And I'm really excited because if you don't know Susan, Susan's the founder of this wonderful group that I've learned about because our groups are starting friendships and people are overlapping, and it's called the Social Sales Girls. But you know what's funny? I'm also in that group and I'm a guy and I'm like, hey, I'm popping in here. And so Susan's the founder of the Social Sales Girls, seasoned entrepreneur, tons of experience. She started her journey borrowing money to launch her business. She sells it. She acquires a company called We Squeak. Love that name, by the way, and which is a children's footwear company. Turn that around, really leaning into the online sales world, dialing all of that in. And since then, she has like this membership community called Inner Circle. It helps Shopify owners, which is probably most of you listening right now or watching, helps you grow your sales, helps you really build a business that is worth building and pursuing. And so Susan does that. So if you ever want to check out what she does, you need to go just search Social Sales Girls. You'll find Susan all over the place. But there are two really important things about Susan. And that is number one, she is a fellow podcaster of the e-commerce roadmap. I'm the second best podcast on the planet. The first one is the e-commerce roadmap. So you need to go listen to the e-commerce roadmap. And the second thing about her is she's super kind and super fun because we finally got to meet like 4 months ago, and she's just a wonderful person and lives up to the hype of everybody that told me I had to meet you. So Susan, sorry that was the most long-winded thing I could do in the beginning, but I couldn't start it off any greater. It's great to have you.
Thank you. Thanks so much. And I'm really grateful I got to meet you.
Cool. Well, hey, let's two podcasters unite and let's make a great podcast here. So I would love to I'd love to kind of talk about a couple of things, but seeing as most people that listen and engage with Ecommerce Alley, most of them are under $1 million in revenue. And you've been doing this longer than I. And so I don't know your observations, but like mine has been like the number one challenge, especially for under $1 million in revenue. If you're just launching and you're under $1 million, most people really struggle with making sales. And you are the social sales girl. So I figured I would bring you on and we could talk about making sales online. Is that cool?
Yeah, let's do it. And cool. I got to tell you, if I had to name my business something all these years later, it would not be the Social Sales Girls.
No, everybody listening, she didn't say, we'll bleep that out if you're a social sales girl. Okay. Why do you say that?
That's really not what we do, right? And clarity is everything for all of us online that are selling products. And because we teach e-commerce store owners how to grow a business that pays them well.
So when can you explain that a little bit? So let's talk about, so when you work with people, what does that typically look like?
So our number one product, of course, where we spend the biggest part of our time and attention as a team is our Inner Circle. And our Inner Circle is core training. So it's literally a roadmap, how to grow your sales step by step by step by step. And it's a community where people can ask their questions, and we have mentors that have used this training to grow their businesses. And they'll answer all of your questions when you post them. And then we have coaching. So you can book a one-on-one consult, because sometimes you need somebody's eyes on your business, an expert's eyes on your business. And so our members come in, they have the training to follow, and then they can get their questions answered no matter what stage they're at. And if they need to go a little bit further, they can book a one-on-one call. And so that is our core product. And that's how we get people from where they are, wherever they are. And generally they have a store and they can't figure out why they're not getting the sales they want, and how we show them how to get there from there to where they want to be.
I love that. Now for you, so you take over We Squeak. Can you tell me about that?
Well, I sold my first business, which I had for more than 20 years, slightly more than 20 years. And when I sold that business, I was thinking I would clean out my closets and sit in the corner for a while. But what happened is I actually got an opportunity. We Squeak was one of our suppliers in my first business. And they asked me if I would be interested in helping them grow their company. And so I worked for them for a little while, and then I was lucky enough to purchase the business. I bought the business, and at that time, it's kind of a funny little story, but we had more than 800 wholesale accounts across the U.S. and Canada, and we had a big warehouse in Dallas, 15,000 square feet, and we had showrooms across the U.S. and Canada, and for the first year. I think it was 2012 or 2013, somewhere in there. Our sales were down since the company had been founded. And my mom, who was probably 75 at the time, I was, stressing about our sales being down. My mother came in, and it was right near Christmas. And she stood in my house and said, "Well, I am finished my Christmas shopping." And I said, "Oh, that's nice." And she said, "And I did it all online." And I was like, if you can figure out how to do all your Christmas shopping online and you are 75, I have a problem here. And so that was the beginning of our transition from being basically a wholesale company. We, over time, we cut off more than $1 million in revenue that was wholesale and transitioned to exclusively online sales. And I had my first business, I had a small chain of stores, and so I knew the brick and mortar world very well, but what I didn't know is how to sell online. And so I had to learn myself it's very different than brick and mortar, and how to sell. And so I shared what I was learning in this free Facebook group I set up. And I learned. It was hard. And it took, a lot of failing before we figured it out. But we actually, we ended up being able to move to 3PL. All our team went virtual. I was able to start the Social Sales Girls and still take a paycheck from my business. It was very profitable. And I was like, oh, more people. And I know you're a dude, Josh, and we do love dudes, but I was particularly thinking, more people who are moms like I was really need this opportunity to have this flexible work life and the chance to make a business that is actually very profitable and will pay them well and build value, that when they sell it, it will create wealth in their lives. And so that's what I did. And when I had purchased We Squeak, I had said, I'm going to sell this in 5 years. And 4 years in, I got an offer I couldn't refuse.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. So you're saying that you don't have to have a big storefront, lots of overhead, tons of employees, and do all your own shipping and fulfillment.
No. Actually, you probably should not, would be my best advice.
Let me ask this. Did you hit constraints by doing it internally versus like with 3PL? Like, did you ever get throttled by it? Like, was that like a hindrance from growth? Do you feel at a certain point?
It was a less of a growth hindrance than it was a cash suck.
Okay.
And particularly with, like, we had payroll, we had a commercial lease, we had feast and famine. So when our containers came in from overseas, I'd be running around trying to find everybody's brother-in-law and whatever kids to come and help us unload. And then 3 weeks later, I'm paying people, I don't know what we paid at the time, maybe $14 an hour to sweep.
Wow.
It was more like that.
Yeah.
And then the wholesale, having all that wholesale, those sales from wholesale really dictated that I had to bring inventory in huge quantities, being uncertain about whether it was would be paid for, and months before I was actually going to get the cash for it. And so just doing that whole transition made me so liquid. And I also knew exactly what it cost me to get a pair of shoes out the door, which I could never have figured out when we had our own warehouse.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you moved to online. And now you've gotten to the point where obviously you're successful in that. And now you have, I don't know how many thousands of people in your groups and stuff that go through your stuff. So you have a pretty good pulse on people coming in and saying, hey, I want to launch a business or grow my business. So for you, like what have you observed? Like, what are some of the first things you recommend? If you're like, hey, if I was starting from scratch, I need 1, 2, 3. No questions asked. These are priorities for me.
Oh, okay. So I think that if you're starting right from scratch, what you need to do is go out and get proof of concept before you do anything else. Like, just go get proof of concept. The second thing you need to do is make it clear to yourself that it's not free to do this, that you need to have some capital to put in this business because it's not free. You know, the day that ship has sailed that you could get everything you needed on social media for free. And so you're going to have some sort of investment, and you need to tell yourself that that money is tied up probably until you sell the business, that's your capital. And so I would tell you that. And then the third thing I would tell you is hold on to some of that capital for marketing expenses, because visibility is everything in this business. You don't need to please everybody. You can have a very small assortment, and it can even be something weird. There's somebody for everything. But what you don't want to do is, you know how a few years ago there would be these drop shipping stores that were all the things ever.
Yeah, yeah. And the funny thing is they still exist.
Yes. That's a super bad plan.
Yeah.
Because clarity is everything. Messaging is everything. People don't spend a long time on your sites. You do not need to spend a fortune on your website till you understand how to get conversion. Then maybe you can have a better website. But you need your most important thing that's going to dictate your success or your failure is being able to market that product. Which you'd agree, right?
You know what? I would agree with you there. You need proof of concept, and it is not free. And I think that, which kind of leads me to the next thing is like, it's not free. Most people lean to, I would say, my observation has been most people gravitate towards social media right out of the gates because it is quote unquote free, although it's time. But from like a leverage activity standpoint and from a like actually producing real sales, because when you start from zero on social media, you'll get that rush of friends and family. You know, they're like, hey, my great grandma's going to buy buy from me to support me 3 times this year. And then that's about it. What do you see as like the best activities that you're observing that produce the most sales or are the most leveraged things to do?
So are you talking on social media specifically or marketing activity?
I'd say marketing in general.
Oh, okay. So here's what I think is highly valuable is that social media is great for visibility. It's a great place to find your people. And at that stage, when you're just looking for visibility, it's relatively cheap to get your thing in front of tens or potentially hundreds of thousands of people and get some awareness of what you're selling. So I think that building an audience on social media doesn't mean followers, doesn't mean, that you have to, like, you can have a small social media account, but still be visible to hundreds of thousands of people. I think that's huge. The second thing I would say is lead generation is everything, because it's gives you an opportunity to get your product back in front of that person many, many times without having to pay beyond the cost of your email service provider. So lead generation is huge. And then the third thing I would say is consistently emailing, even if you don't know what you're doing, even if it's ugly, and you email. And when you start sending out emails, success looks like people click your email and go back to your website. But what we know from all the years of doing this is generally two stats we know, that if you can get somebody back to your site for a second visit, you double your chances of getting a conversion. People who are multiple, like within a 30-day window, if they visit your site 2 or more times, the conversion rate for that pool of people is double what one-time visitors are. So it's high leverage to get someone back to your site. And the second thing we know is that if you get someone back to your site from the last click on an email, those people convert at way more than your average conversion rate. So it's not unusual for the people who click and they're second time visitors to your site to convert at a 6, 7, 8%. And so that is the most high leverage thing you can do, especially when you don't have a ton of money.
So you're saying, so when you say lead generation, and I know some people hear lead generation and you think like B2B sales or something. So you're talking like running some kind of ads. I would assume Meta, but I don't want to misassume. Yeah. I would assume running ads. You run to a landing page or lead form. So that kind of lead generation. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, it could be just it could just be ads that are like a conversion view content ad where you're just trying to get them on your site, look at a product, and then you can have a pop-up that gives them, I don't know, a 10% coupon code that allows you to set up an email funnel behind it. That's really effective. Really effective. It could be that you run some sort of promotion where you are saying, like I used to do all the time, and I have 100 promotional gift cards for $10 to give away. Sign up here and I'll send you one now. Send them one. And it's just really a discount code, but it looks like a promotional gift card.
I got to pause real quick. That's actually, I haven't thought of that. That's really clever messaging. That's the same thing spun a different way. I love that. I got a promotional gift card. It's $10 to our store. It's the same thing as $10 off.
Yeah. So, but think about it. If I give you a gift card, you carry that thing around in your wallet until it's like broken, even if you don't use it because you value it. But if I say there's a discount, you're like, well, I'm not ready to buy it.
Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting. I would love to, somebody here listening needs to run a split test on this. I would love to see what's the take rate or opt-in rate in the opt-in rate and then the actual take rate of the coupon code for saying that this is a gift card versus this is a discount. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
I'm going to steal that for myself.
Right? You go for it. The more people we can help with that, the better, right? Because that's hard for us. The messaging is always hard for us.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's a prime example of how just a shift in the perspective of the message changes the entire outcome. And a lot of people don't think about that. So I think that's really clever right there.
Or $10 to spend is better than $10 off.
That's good. I love that.
But
sorry, I interrupted you.
The ball. That's fine. Don't drop the ball, though. If you're going to do this, you got to follow up with an email flow in behind it, because generally they're not going to convert on the first hit. It's going to be down the road.
Now, since I'm an advertising guy, so my question is going to be, at what point are you moving into purchase conversion campaigns? I know we have a lot of people to listen that are they love ads as much as me. That's probably why we're all friends. And so, like, do you recommend that right out of the gates, or do you hold on doing that? Because it sounds like lead gen is a higher priority for you.
Yeah, I hold for a couple of reasons. The first reason I hold is that I think that, until you have done everything you can with the tools that are not, that don't cost you per transaction, I think you owe it to yourself to do that first. Invest in that first. The other thing I think is important is that you have to understand your numbers. Like, you have to understand your profit. And a lot of people, that's where I see where, people who have 6 and 7 figure stores don't understand whether they're really profitable or not. They're still in that mode of, when I get to XYZ sales, then I'm going to pay myself well. Or when I get to XYZ sales, everything will be better. I'll have more cash in the bank. But what they don't understand is that most people, I think, try and grow their sales instead of trying to scale their sales of their profitable products. And so I think it really makes a lot of sense to really understand how conversion works for you. And basically understand how conversion works. It works the same for all of us, but understand where the money is in your business, because what you don't want to do is scale your expenses as you scale your sales, or you'll always be in this teeny tiny profit margin. And then if you go to sell your business one day, you're not going to get nearly as much as if you can scale a few profitable products. And so understand your numbers, and everyone's afraid of them, including me. I spent years with my first business hiding in the corner, thinking, I'm just not good at that. But the truth is, We all are. And people like us put a dollar sign in front of it and we understand it a lot better, faster. So
Yeah.
it's so worth investing time in and understanding and getting help with that. And so I would do those two things first. And then I would decide, instead of just going, where the road takes me, I would decide, okay, what are the products I want to use that are going to acquire the most customers for me and are going to lead me into being able to really maximize the lifetime value of that client and by making other sales to that person. But what is the product that I really want to shine a light on and scale my sales with that, make that the front door to my business. That's when I would start purchase conversion ads.
Okay. So
and that's probably not how you do it. And there are lots of ways to win the race, right? Like, it's
absolutely. No, I love it. And I always like to ask, because especially someone else who's like who has a volume of data points that are not just them. So like a lot of people would say, oh, you need to do this or do that. And I hate speaking in absolutes, because there's way more than one way, and it's foolish to believe that there's others. And so I appreciate you with a different perspective than I might do, but I don't want to discount. Lead gen is important. And we just had a conversation in our community yesterday, and someone was asking, how much should I allocate spend-wise to lead generation? Should I run lead generation? And we're like, yes, you should. Like, your list is one of the most powerful levers you can have, especially going into Q4 right now. Going into Q4, you hit November, like you just have, we like to say it's the only legal way to print money on demand. You could say, if I have a list of 1,000 people, in a storefront, you don't have this ability, but with an email list, you can just say, I want to talk to 1,000 people, send. And not that everyone will open, but you could just print money on demand, especially at critical moments throughout the year. New product releases, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, the whole Christmas season, literally anytime. So I love that. I think that's great. And honestly, I don't think that people do it enough. So if that's something that anyone's listening to and you're not running lead gen ads, even if you're already what you would consider more seasoned, you need to consider lead gen ads. I'm all about that.
Yeah, just do something evergreen that allows you to put a flow on the back of it.
Yeah, no, that's good. Also, I love the focus on numbers. One of the first things we do when we work pretty hands-on with our clients, you have to know your numbers. If you know your numbers, you'll have no confidence, and you'll make all your decisions based on your gut. And something we like to say, we have a little saying around here, and that's marketing is a mathematical equation, not an emotional decision. And if you don't know your profitability on a product or products or your advertising costs and all of those pieces and what you can spend to acquire a customer before you're upside down, you'll hemorrhage cash and you'll get yourself in a really, really bad position if you're not wise. So that's solid. That's good. Everybody needs to make sure that's set up there. Now, advertising wise, so you mentioned it's not free. Hopefully everybody knows that. You got to be willing to invest in the business. Do you have like a recommended amount or percentage of revenue? Is there some way that you say, this is how much I think you should start with, and then maybe once you're established and you have your business and predictability every month, this is how much I recommend you allocate?
Well, I know it's different than yours, Josh. So my number is 15%. And I'll just explain why for a minute. Because I think, and I've seen it enough times, that we get so excited about growth because it feels great. It feels like validation of everything that we've been doing. And what we forget is that growth is expensive, not just in the cost of the ads, but in the cost of your inventory. And so what happens with so many people is they grow and they grow and they grow, and they're perpetually short of cash because all of their cash, their liquid cash, is sitting in more inventory, either on the boat or in progress, to fill these needs for this much larger pool of sales that they're shipping out every month. And so they're actually using like their expense dollars, like their operating expense dollars for inventory. And then they struggle to pay their bills, and then they make bad decisions, and then they go get a Shopify credit loan.
Yeah.
Right? Those sort of things. So I think that I think that we're all allowed to make these mistakes once or twice, but if you live in that world, again, you're not going to be able to sustain it. Your business is worth nothing. You're like, it's no fun. And so it's okay to say, hey, I'm really good with 15 to 20% growth a year. This is what I spend to acquire a customer. This is my ad budget. And I'd rather sleep at night and have money in the bank, pay myself well, be able to pay my taxes, like quit getting those fines from the government because I didn't pay on time, all that stuff. And I can wait 2 or 3 years to hit that magic number that makes me feel validated. That's why I say that.
Okay. I love that.
Thanks.
And that's actually, I think that's like, it's so going slow is underrated. I think that going fast is way overrated. And I think we all see on all the ads and the people posting in front of whatever their cars are. And you hear the outlier situations of these hyper growths of gross revenue. And anyone listening or watching right now, you have seen these. You see the gross revenue. You see the 7 figures. You see the 6 figures. Whatever that number is, it really is attractive to you. But that's gross. Nobody, I don't care gross. Like, you could have the smaller gross, but if your profit is really high, that's really what matters. And I think that what you're saying is that it's better to hedge your bets against yourself and not be so aggressive that you are unprofitable and you don't have cash in the bank. Right. And then you end up taking out these loans that start scalping percentages off the top of every sale. And then it's just this like vicious cycle of debt into debt into debt. And then you're so upside down, you're just struggling to breathe.
Yeah. And you make decisions out of fear. And let's be clear, because I don't want to sound like I'm being preachy at all. The only reason I know all this is because I've done it all the wrong way first.
Yeah. I figured. I wasn't going to say it. I was just assuming in the back of my mind.
Yeah. And there's no shame in it. But what happens when you start acquiring all that debt and you've got a pile of inventory and your Visa bill is like 75 grand every month or something, something ridiculous. What happens is there's this feeling of shame and imposter and I'm really screwing this up, but on the outside, everything looks great. And it's just a problem to solve. And it's just something that people don't talk about that often. But honestly, to solve that problem, and the world is your oyster.
Yeah, that's good. Well, yeah. I do want to talk about something
Sure.
that I know is coming up. Because I am also a follower of the Susan Bradley. I know that you have Conversion School coming up, and I would love to expose our audience to you. If you don't know who Susan is or Social Sales Girls, hey, even if you're not a Social Sales Girl, you can go join their Facebook group. They will let you into the e-commerce roadmap family and SSG family. You have Conversion School coming up. Can you tell us about that? Because I really do want to encourage anybody listening or watching to go check that out.
Yeah. So thank you. Conversion School is really cool. So it's just going to be a free training. It's a free mini course. It's four short videos. I don't do anything long because that would be boring, but it's 4 short videos. And really it's for people who are store owners who are like just starting out and starting to get some sales. You need a store, I would say, to really do well. Like to onboard it and see what's happening. But it also works really well for store owners who are starting to scale. Because what we do in Conversion School is first we have you understand how conversion really works. And really there's 3 metrics that you need to track for conversion. And we talk about that. So you just understand conversion. We're going to show you, because most people, when they aren't getting the sales they want, think there's a problem with their website, or there's a problem with their marketing, or there's a problem with the pricing, or they don't have pricing. But the truth is that for most people, it's a traffic problem. It's a traffic problem. So I want people to see what they have to do to get the sales that they want. And then the second lesson, we talk about building your sales funnel. And so we think we hear about funnels all the time, but most of us don't actually, every one of us has a sales funnel, but most of us don't actually draw it out and see how many people we have in each stage of your funnel. And when you do that, all of a sudden it takes all the emotion out of your results, and you can actually see in black and white why you're not getting the sales you want and what you have to do to get the sales you want, because you see your top of funnel, your audience, you see your traffic, you see your conversion rate, and that helps you do the really easy math to see, okay, if I want to get 25% more sales this week, this is what my funnel needs to look at. And then I know the steps I have to take to make that work. So we show you that in Conversion School. And then we show you how to set good, achievable goals. And we actually have a calculator that everyone that takes the program will get. And it really helps you set manageable goals that you can achieve for your business, and shows you what metrics to track, and shows you really what your funnel has to look like to reach those goals. And so it really just kind of takes all the big feelings over what your sales results are and breaks them down into steps that, with each little section of that you can control. And so you can pretty much predict your results before the month even comes. Like, I do it even for us when we are launching a promotion for the Inner Circle or something that we're doing at the Social Sales Girls. I build a funnel for it. Okay, how big is my audience going to be for this? And then I know 1 to 2% of those people are going to click through and see my offer. How many people do I want to see my offer? Write it down. What's my conversion rate? Write it down. Okay, I can expect XYZ sales from what I have here. And if I want more than that, I have to beef up those numbers. It's really good. It's really good. It's a very powerful tool for people.
And is this brand new? Is this like a new thing you guys have done?
So the Conversion School for free is brand new. We teach them in the circle. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
You know what it is? It's such a good visual, because it's hard to see the big picture. And so it's a really good visual. So in Conversion School, people will have access to it until the end of the month, from September 22nd on, for free. And they'll get to keep the tools. And then it goes away again. But I think it's really empowering. I would encourage anyone, whether you're a 6 or 7 figure store owner or you're somebody who's just starting out, because I'm pretty sure that most of you have never built your sales funnel, and it's very empowering.
I love that. Well, I'm going to be going through it, Susan. And I think that for all of you wing-itters out there, this is going to be really for you. But for those of you that also, I'm assuming those of you that aren't properly doing metrics, or if maybe you don't think you have a sales funnel, but sounds like you do, and you're not doing it the right way, or you're not monitoring it properly, this makes a lot of sense. I'll tell you what, Susan, I'll have our team get a link from you. We'll just put it in the description. We'll make this real easy, so there's not like a long URL we're like listing off. Everyone, we'll put the link in the description. I encourage you, check it out. I'm gonna go through. I always love to say, is there like something I'm not doing or taking away? And all you need, and it's free, so it's not like I'm paying anything anyway other than my time. All you need is one nugget to just make this entire thing worth usually 10, 100 times what you pay for it. But this is free, so you're gonna get 1,000,000 times whatever you pay for this, guys. I love it. Susan, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you. Where can everyone where do you connect the most on the social media world that we can push people to?
Oh, on the social media world. So if you would find me on Facebook. You're a
Facebooker, okay.
On Facebook. Yeah, I don't like doing stuff on my phone, so I'm not so good on Instagram. But.
All right. Well, everyone, find Susan Bradley on...
actually find the Social Sales Girls. Susan Bradley's profile, incredibly boring.
Okay. Everyone connect with Social Sales Girls. Susan, I appreciate you being on, and we'll see everybody in the next episode.